Hey everyone, we're back. Welcome to another episode of Fed Up with Me, the eternal miserable one, Fed Up Gaz. Join me today is Chris Baker, the guitarist of Ego Planet. How is it going today, man?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, dude. So I always like to start with the artwork when I'm talking to people, and I noticed when I was looking at it, it's beautiful design. Got like an Earth goddess there, celestial planets in her hands, um, the whole planet behind her as well, Earth and the skulls at the bottom. Uh, so I just wondered who did that artwork. Was that an idea that you guys had, or did you just give the artists free rein to do their own interpretation?
Honestly, it was a little bit of both.
Nice.
The artist is Wolfgang Vince. I will drop his handle in the chats here because his work is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Um, we connected online through Instagram, and I loved what he was doing, and just kind of chatting back and forth through Messenger. We had a lot of the same inspirations and ideas, and we definitely wanted to go for something kind of spacey. We've been trying to draw inspiration from that cosmic horror vibe. And he had some sketches, and we said, dude, just run with it. We trust you. And he totally drilled it. There's so many amazing details in there.
Yeah.
The more you look at it, the more you find in there. And, it's just amazing. We love it.
Yeah, it's really striking. I feel it really encompasses everything that the band's about. I mean, even if you want to nerd, I mean, I don't know if other people notice it, but if you look at the lettering for Ego Planet itself, that's kind of got that cosmic sci-fi vibe coming through. And being a nerd, I think it's great how the cosmic kind of sci-fi has been getting popular with a lot of music at the moment, especially in metal. And then there's the whole planet behind it. Yeah, it's absolutely great, man. I mean, the irony is I'm going to be talking about space trips and voyage on some interstellar bong, and I'm the sober, the sober stoner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's there, man. I think it's a really, really beautiful cover. Before we get into doing a deep dive, through the tracks, one thing I noticed, Chris, when I was talking to you off air there is you have a really wide range within your music. I can hear the stoner rock, desert rock, obviously the fuzz riffs. And when you get to the later part of the album as well, I can even hear some prog coming through. So is this just naturally what you all like and where you draw from, and that just comes out when you play?
Yeah, absolutely. There was really no direct goal for the sound of the band when I was writing. Um, Honestly, all the demos we wrote that I was working on during like the COVID quarantine days and whatnot, it was just really an exercise to kind of keep my chops up and
Yeah.
continue playing. And I started gravitating towards that heavier sound. And when I got Jared involved in the project, it was all so organic. Even the recording process was very organic. Like I said, there was no direct vision for the end game of where the sound was going to go, but all of my influences absolutely come through the guitar playing throughout the record, and the entire musical side of things. I mean, even Jared's voice. Like, we're huge fans of like Free
Yeah.
and Zeppelin, obviously, and a lot of that like British blues rock kind of stuff. And we had talked about this off air as well. I love that you brought up how like stoner metal and stoner rock all really just kind of come from like that heavy blues.
Yeah.
And we're huge blues guys at the end of the day. So I
Yeah.
think that kind of we hope that comes through.
Oh, definitely. And I 100% agree. I often think blues music, as they say, it's like the roots of heavy metal and rock. And without that, we wouldn't have those genres. And I mean, going back to the days of Robert Johnson, for example. And I think it's something to be greatly appreciated. And it's nice that the sound is still going as well, whether it's through stoner rock, stoner metal, of course, the blues scene as well, which is very vibrant. And yeah, it's just such wonderful music as well. And I love how you were saying that everything is done organically, a bit like these shows as well. There might be a rough plan, and then it's just, oh well, that goes out the window and just go whatever. It's like a jamming session, just with conversation. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but but I feel it's the best way to do it. The same with music, because then it's more naturally authentic. You're playing what's coming from within, and that serves to make some of the best music as well. Instead of like, I'm not saying nobody can make good music like this, but I feel if they're trying to force it, it maybe doesn't quite have that same soul as something that's come naturally.
I agree, definitely.
So I wondered as well, the debut full length, it came out recently on the 27th of October on, I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation here, Argonauta Records.
That's correct, yeah.
Yay, progress. And you can get it from Bandcamp as well, folks. So I'll put the link in the description after the show. So definitely go and peep it. So I just wondered, it's a bit of a late question here. What inspired the title for the album? I know it's self-titled. So I just wondered if you could break that down for us.
Personally, I always loved. There's so many great debut albums that are just self-titled. Black Sabbath, Van Halen hanging up behind me. We are Ego Planet. It's our first, introduction to the world, and like we are who we are. This is just the band. There wasn't that much thought behind it, but I just thought, what a better way to introduce ourselves by just sticking with the band.
Yeah. This is who we are. This is what we play. Welcome to our planet, and join us for the ride, man, for sure.
Absolutely.
You've got a great opener as well, a great opening title, Swallow the Sun. Again, that makes me think, I'm just going to be nerding throughout this show, but it just makes me think of someone like spacing out, I don't know, on the Starship Bong, something. And you're seeing all these planets, like all the psychedelic stuff and everything. But it's very... The lyrics as well, I mean, it opens up with verse 1. A cry rings out internally, a planet shout, its dying plea, forsaken by the one she mothered through time, her very brood incites a swift decline. I may be overthinking here, which is a habit of mine, but there's an interesting parallel with, I guess, what's happening with our planet. I noticed that, so I thought that was a really great way of, you've kind of got that like fantasy cosmic, stoner sci-fi vibe, but mixed with some real world relatable lyrics there. So I just wondered if you could break it down, what this track's about, what inspired it, and then how you match the music to go with it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. Jared wishes he was with us today, but he couldn't get out of work.
No problem.
He wrote majority of the lyrics. I would say he wrote probably like 95% of lyrics. The other 5% was just kind of my input. But, when we started this project, when I decided to, Jared, come sing on this stuff. I have all this music. Let's do something with it. He said to me, what do we write about? Like, what do you want me to sing about? I'm like, well, it's 2020. The world is flipped upside down. Let's start there, And so there's a lot of themes about what's going on in our planet and, the world just being upside down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you really nailed on the head though with the parallels there. We didn't want to be totally in your face and preachy, but you can kind of fill in the blanks with some of the themes there.
Yeah, it's doing it. I feel like in a smart way. You've got the music that you can certainly enjoy and really relax to, and what. As we were alluding to off air, and you brought up again, we were talking about like blues, the influence on stoner rock and metal. It's something as well that, yes, you've got the riffage there. Of course, you can bang your head to it. But there's something very strangely relaxing about that kind of music as well, where you literally can take a quiet moment, really space out, no pun intended there, with, whatever you're doing. And then it's whatever thoughts come to mind. And you can certainly, relate to those areas as well. When I was reading about the band, I noticed that you formed in 2020. You had a collection of instrumental demos, which were wrote in the midst of COVID-19, with all the lockdown and everything. And then you met Jared and partnered up. So was this just a really I just wondered how you met. You know, could you tell us all how you met?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jared and I
Mm,
actually grew up together in New Jersey.
nice.
We had bands together growing up. We had a couple bands, really the same band that kind of rebranded itself. A band called Bizarre Silence, and then
What nice name.
another band called Amenti Rover. Amenti Rover was definitely like Ego Planet before Ego Planet. But this was also like, we were teenagers. This was 10, 15 years ago when we were working on those bands, growing up in high school and all that. So we've always played music together. I always loved his voice. I just always loved bouncing musical ideas off of him. And, you grow up, life takes you different places. He was
Yeah,
living in Seattle at the time, and I was still in New Jersey. And I just, like I was saying earlier, I was just having fun making music, locked
yeah,
in, the house, trying to do something,
yeah,
trying to be creative, trying to pick up my guitar. And once I, came up with a boatload of demos, I started sending them his way. And that's, when he started sending demos back to me with his voice. And I was like, dude, this is perfect. Your voice
yeah.
totally complements what I'm trying to accomplish here. And then the slow evolution of recording. It took us a minute to get this album together. It's expensive making a record.
Very.
It's tough when you're on the opposite sides of the country. But he actually found his way back to the East Coast within the last couple of years. So that's made the final push a lot easier. And we're looking forward to making a lot more music in the near future. I can't wait.
Yeah, no doubt. Glad something positive has come out of COVID there. I mean, everybody was trying to do something just to keep themselves busy, to keep the sanity in check, I guess. And, Eco Planet is formed, so that's great stuff. And totally right on music, which, before we get into chatting about the other songs, you've got a beautiful vinyl. I know you did a stream the other day
Yeah,
chatting about this. Vinyl, sadly, is so expensive to make. But if we just look at this for a moment, the artwork which we mentioned earlier is there, but you also see the actual space itself on the whole cover, so that really does amp up the cosmic vibe. And I love the coloring of the vinyl as well, that real purple nice shade that you've got, and then the logo for, I think it is Agnota Records, in
yep.
the center. So
Right here for y'all.
yeah, let's have a look at them, man, and let's have a
It was,
oh man, that is beautiful.
it's been in a, sorry, lighting's not great.
Oh, it's all right, man, we can see it.
The
Oh, look at that, folks.
It's always been a goal to, have
Wow.
vinyl out. And
Oh, beautiful.
we're just so proud of this thing, the way it came out. We got the translucent purple vinyl.
Oh man. Oh, dude, isn't that right? Isn't that itself there? That's paying homage to all those classic psychedelia blues bands, all from the '60s, isn't it? It really is a throwback in the nicest way.
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
And for those of you that pick up a copy, we had a little oversight on putting side A or side B. Side A is the spacey side. Side B is the record label side.
There you go. So you've got those two different versions there. That's really nice. There's a lot to unpack. I've mentioned this, Chris, with guests on the show, that a lot of people now as well collect vinyl, just for the artwork alone, and have them hung on the walls, literally like an art piece poster. Really are becoming collector's item, but sadly is very expensive to make. So I'm going to ask it: do you plan to make more vinyl for the next release?
Yeah, that's the goal. Hopefully this album keeps moving along. We're still focused on promoting and getting this out there. We are a brand new band. Even though we technically formed in 2020, our first record just came out a month ago. We released our first single in 2021, second one in 2022. So it's been a slow evolution of getting this record together. It's been tough sitting on all these songs for a couple of years. They've been ready to go. Couldn't wait to get it out there. But we really want to do it right. We're really proud of this album and, the way it came out. So we really want to give it a fair shake in the music world and give it the proper release it deserves. And the response has been great so far. We're really grateful. and we definitely intend to put out more records in the future.
Yeah, keep that momentum going, build on that positive feedback as well. I was going to ask you about that, so it's good to hear that you've been getting that good response from people that seem to dig the music, which is awesome. So how did you get hooked up with Agonauta Records? Did they just stumble across you?
So right before we sent everything out for mixing and mastering, I sent out the raw mixes to a handful of labels I thought would be cool to work with, that had, they seemed to fit our vision and vibe, just to see what would happen. And Argonauta got in touch with us and loved the songs, and the game plan they presented us really kind of fit what I was trying to go for. And we just went with it. And I've been so happy working with them. They've been great with everything from PR to, putting together this professional, release with the vinyl, taking care of everything. It's just been great working with them.
Yeah, good relationship from the ground running, which is great. Definitely need that, especially with being, as you said, a new band, first full length as well. So I'm curious, Chris. I know you, Jared, complimented the music that you had. So is that the way? The reason I'm asking is because some bands have all the music first, then they add the lyrics. But I've had other guests who say, no, we write our lyrics first, then we have the music. The answer is always, one or the other. So I'm just curious, how do you guys do it? Do you already have that music, or does it depend on the moment? Kind of, could it be a mix?
Yeah, it definitely has started with the music for us. I flesh out full-blown instrumental demos, send them to him, and we'll say, can you stretch out the second verse? Or, we'll chop it up and then change the arrangement to suit what he decides to write over top of it. And that's been the way we've been working through it. That already looks like that's going to be the way we're going to do the next record, because we've already accumulated another 20 demos ready to go for that.
Wow.
So I'm super excited about that stuff. I'm really excited with the direction we're taking the sound in. And so music first and then the lyrics next.
Yeah, onward, man, definitely. So the second track on the album, The Call, and I know Jared, as you said, did a lot of the lyrics, so I appreciate if maybe we can't go so deep on some of them.
Yeah.
But what do you know what inspired the title for The Call? I just wondered what the inspiration behind it was.
I don't know exactly why he named it The Call. It felt obvious. Of course, this is called The Call. That was kind of like my interpretation of it. But it's just a call out to the masses. I would assume, that we know there's a lot of wrong things happening in this world, and we need some change. And I think that's just like an anthem for that, essentially.
Yeah. There's a lot that I mean, even the next song that follows, Reflection, that certainly ties into that, because as I was saying, it could be different for other people that listen, I guess, too. I'll say stoner music, to me, I find it very relaxing. It's me thinking about things as well. So the track Reflection, I feel, ties into that. But there's some really nice lyrics here, though, Chris, like the chorus on Reflection. The skin is burning with the spiteful scars that never heal. This face is turning. It's poisoned by the life they steal. I mean, it's open to so many interpretations there, which you could draw from personal experiences or things we see around us. It really does have, I feel, with the delivery of the vocals and then the music to back that up, it really does get you reflecting, I guess, but then obviously enjoying the sound as well, which we obviously want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of input with the lyrics for Reflection. I had submitted those lyrics to Jarrett, and he had kind of tweaked them to fit the song better. But you nailed it on the head. Obviously, it's about reflecting. Another big theme within the song that I was initially going for was, just being uncomfortable in your own skin and dealing with anxiety, and a lot of that can come from the world around you, but it has a lot to do with those kind of themes and whatnot.
Sorry, folks, if you're wondering why I do that sometimes. Still infested with flu, as you've seen in the last couple of episodes. There was one guest, we had a band on from Canada, from Quebec, Disorientation. And when we got to the end of the show, I was having a coughing fit, and so was Marie Claire. And then the guy, sorry, I've forgotten your name already. Yay, good one, guys. He kind of like took over as cover host to try. Well, she just saw us both having a coughing fit for 5 minutes. As I see, Stone by Nature, you see, people are saying you smoke too much. I'm like, oh, I don't smoke, but I've got the cough for sure. The next one, Entertainment. This is a nice one. This had a good vibe to it musically as well. I just wondered, was this one that you really enjoyed from the track? Is this one of your personal standouts, or is there any others? I know it's quite a hard one because you kind of don't want to say, oh yeah, I like this one and don't like this.
I love all these songs. I think the one thing I'm really proud of is I feel like each song does have its own identity. And I was really going for that. Entertainment's themes are really fun as well. It's just basically kind of making fun of how, well, not necessarily making fun of, but just kind of addressing how brainwashed people are from entertainment and how much of a distraction it can be, and just kind of calling that out. But I'm a huge Judas Priest fan. That's like my favorite band. And I feel like that song is very inspired from like the Angel of Retribution era, modern Priest sound that kind of introduced me to that band when I was a kid. So I do love the song for that. It's just kind of like your classic metal song. So there was definitely a lot of influence from that.
As I said, that's what I think is very enjoyable about this album, about Ego Planet, because, of course, there's the stoner, heavy rock vibes, but then there's the traditional metal element as well. I believe Judas Priest, I think, recently dropped 2 new songs, actually.
Yeah, they're killer.
I haven't listened to them yet. Good stuff, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're just Judas Priest songs, dude. You can't go wrong.
Nice. I'll repeat those, because I think they've got a new album due.
It's March coming out.
Yeah. So that should be good stuff. I've only ever seen them once, and they were killer.
They're great, man. I've seen them a bunch of times. Definitely my top 3 all-time favorite bands. One of my biggest influences. Just a huge fan.
Oh, it's great stuff, man. And there you go, folks. Judas Priest influence, and we're talking stoner music as well. So, hey, you never know. So, the good thing, they've all been, the song titles are all very powerful as well. They certainly provoke the imagination. You mentioned that cosmic sci-fi vibe early, even the horror one. Just to stop myself, actually, before I continue talking about Butcher's Blade, I just wanted to follow up on something you said regarding entertainment, how it's a bit of a commentary on how people can be brainwashed. I definitely feel that at times it almost feels like you're in the Matrix and you're seeing some bizarre theater play happening around you, especially with how people seem to be get further down the rabbit hole. And I'm particularly TikTok, I've noticed, from the social media side of things. I almost comes across like, man, I know, is the Sinister AI or something? Yeah, I'm a reference there. Brainwashing people program. So I thought that was a very interesting point that you made. Anyway, coming back to Butcher's Blade. Sorry about that, folks. I just wanted to.
No, you nailed it on the head. Seriously, that's the point of it,
Yeah, for sure. It resonated with me, that one, for sure. Butcher's Blade. I mean, before we even look at the lyrics and music, I mean, that's a powerful title in itself, and that conveys a lot of visual imagery as well. And then verse 1, fear not your puppet masters, false boogeyman, but rather apathy in your idle hands. That's really powerful stuff just to open up with, very thought-provoking, gets you thinking again. A very layered album, this one. There's a lot there behind the music and lyrics, which is definitely visuous. So, did you have input on this one?
No, Jarrett had full reins on this. man, I love his writing so much. I think
Mm.
he really, it's very thought provoking, as you already said. Yeah, I mean, I think he really drilled it personally. Um, Such a great opening line. I remember reading it when he sent it over to me, because he would send over the demo with the lyrics attached, and so I could read along while listening. And yeah, he did such an awesome job there.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you're totally right. It definitely gets the mind thinking for sure. Was the any song that on the album that you particularly really had fun with and is personally important to you on the musical side of things? You know, is the one that, man, you really enjoyed the making the music for?
Yeah, there's a couple. Order of the Tree comes to mind pretty quickly, just because that song was kind of I don't want to call it a throw in, but it was it was the last demo I wrote before we decided to go into pre-production for finalizing the arrangements for what we were going to use for the album. And as that song came to life, it just really felt like another element kept getting added on, that and every button we hit just seemed to work, just from selecting what kind of pedals we were going to use in the studio for the tones, um, to adding, a last minute layer in the breakdown section. Um, just I was really, really proud of the way that one came out, and I felt like it really stands on its own. It has a little bit of that proggy vibe. It has a little bit of that
Yeah.
sound vibe. There's a lot of stuff going on in that song. There's a lot to unpack, and I feel like it's one of those songs. The more you listen to it, the more you get from it too, musically and lyrically. So that song really stands out for me.
Yeah, as we were chatting off air, and I think I mentioned at the start of our conversation, what I think is really interesting is, yes, okay, this is like a stoner album, I guess, but there is other elements there that you can hear in the music, particularly when you get to the latter part as well, those proggy elements come in. And that was interesting as a listener because you were on that perfect way to do the cosmic references again. You're on that space vibe. You're tripping out, you're really enjoying the music, and then there's something different comes at the end. You're like, man, where's this come from? And it's not a bad thing either. It's showing, those other influences, and it makes it different. With that said, then, do you feel this debut then makes, and this is no bad on other stoner bands at all, but makes you be a little bit more unique and stand out for that reason, because you're drawing from those different layers and you've got that different feel with the music?
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal, I guess, doing this, the one thing that always stood out to me as a guitar player are all my heroes, no matter who they play with, whether it's a pop record or the heaviest heavy metal record.
Yeah.
It's that person playing guitar. Having that voice and, creative identity has always been something I always thought about. And the one thing I could hope for as this band goes on and makes more music is to really just have our own sound. Like, oh, that's an Ego Planet album.
Yeah.
And I hope we get there. I think we did a nice job of creating that a good place to jump off of with this record. But yeah, I mean, I just want to take the listener on an adventure throughout the record, from start to finish. Like I said earlier, just give them something a little different with each song, but it's all kind of coming from the same root, and that was just the goal,
Yeah, well, I think you succeed in doing that, and it's
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And it caught my ear because, and like I said, I'm not meaning any bad on other stoner bands at all. I'm not saying I don't enjoy the music, but when I got to the latter parts of Ego Planet and I heard those prog elements coming in, I thought, oh, this is interesting. This is different. And as you rightly said, so you listen to the album again, because a nerd in me, I want to compare this to the early side of the album and then the mid part as well. And then, as you said, you're like, oh, this fits really nicely. The way it's arranged as well, I thought you did a good job in arranging the tracks for that benefit. So it's not, sometimes when you get an album where it's got those other genres coming through, but they haven't arranged it very well, so it's too much of a drastic
Absolutely.
jump.
Yeah.
So were you guys conscious of that in the track arrangement?
Yeah, I put a lot of thought into that, and I probably listened to every single combination of the record.
Yeah.
But even as I was writing these songs and recording them in the studio, I was already planning in my head where they were all going to fit. So I'm really big on that. You know, I grew up listening to full length albums. I always loved albums. You know, I had so many people ask me like, why don't you just release singles? Like, no one has the attention span to listen to a full album anymore. I'm like, I don't care. It's just been a goal to put out a record. I just want to have a full length record that's a complete piece of art and music. So yeah, there was a lot of thought put into that, from a lot of the interludes and the intros, just to kind of give you, you know, almost like a roller coaster. You know, it has its ups and downs.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point that you've brought up, Chris. It's been one of the frequent topics on the shows is attention span regarding singles, EPs, or albums. There was a death metal band from Sweden, Heads for the Dead, and he said the way he does it, he'll release one full-length album, then an EP, then an album. And he said the EPs give him a chance to do something a little bit creatively different, and then the album he gets back to more what is kind of familiar, I guess, with the band. I think, yeah, definitely people have that shorter attention span for sure. But to be fair, I think in the metal scene, I think people still appreciate the full-length albums. There's so many bands still release them because they're very passionate, they're dedicated about the music as well. So I think compared to some other genres, we're still fortunate in that sense. Even in punk and hardcore, you know, they're still dropping a lot of full-length albums as well, which people still dig. I mean, you could argue, yeah, because there's very short-length songs. So, I mean, the album can be over before you've even got back from the toilet sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's another comment I want to make on this whole community is it's such an awesome community. As a fan of all this music for so long and following a lot of these bands from, you know, the smaller bands from the underground of stoner rock and heavy rock and metal, the community is so supportive, and they do appreciate the full lengths, and they buy the vinyl, they support the bands. That's why I'm grateful to be a part of it now and have, you know, my band in that world, and it's awesome. It's really awesome.
It is, and you know, coming back to the merchandise as well, a perfect segue there. You know, we talked about the vinyl earlier, and you've got the baseball cap and you've got the shirt, but the one I particularly like is I like the baseball tee, the Celestial Queen baseball tee, because it's a little different. I like how the sleeves balance with the dark colors and then the actual album cover on the front. So, you know, that is a particular favorite of mine. For that reason, just a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me, I'm gonna throat attack again. So, coming to Leviathan, which we're kind of, I guess, coming to the latter part of the album now. Did you have input on the lyrics for this one?
No, Jared did his thing as well on that.
Okay.
That musically, I wanted just a quick, in-your-face, crazy song. Like I envisioned people, you know, jumping up and down to. I was really thinking of more performance on this song. What it would be like to play this live and have that energy. So that's kind of where the music draws from. But I didn't want to have a ton of long songs on the record. That was another kind of conscious thing I was going through as I was writing.
Yeah, you don't want to kind of end up having a drawn album where it can be like 15-minute length track songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I feel, look, I'm not against long songs. You know, Doom has many of them, which are great. I mean, there's some fantastic bands that have 10, 12-minute length songs. I don't tire of listening to them. Excuse me, folks. Sorry, it's the throat attacking me again. But when it gets to, I feel like 15 minutes, 18 minutes long with some, which is then like a whole jam session, I'm like, then that really is. I know maybe some people, there will be people out there who'll be fine with that, but I feel that then that is getting too long. And it's nice to have, I mean, it's clocks in 2 minutes 19. It's very direct, very fast. It's certainly going to get the energy pumping. It'll be interesting to hear from you when you play that one live, what the reaction will be like from people.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at, I mentioned this band a lot on Stoner shows just because they're one of my favorite, I guess, kind of desert fuzz bands. Fu Manchu, they've got a lot of those like really fast, direct, snappy songs that get the energy pumping as well. They've got the riffage there, and those songs are always fun, man, and fun to play as well.
Yeah, absolutely, great band.
Yeah, for sure. Excuse me. Coming to Faceless Children, I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit of how you put the music together for that one.
Yeah, so this is the one interesting song on the record that the fact that it was written a long time ago. I think I wrote this song 10 years ago and demoed it out. It was I always wanted to have a band like Ego Planet, and I never followed through with doing so until the last couple of years. But I was sitting on this song and had Jared come over and work out some lyrics. He was still living on the East Coast at the time. And we actually performed the song once with our old band, Amenti Rover. And it was so much fun to play. Just really a nod to Iommi and the Sabbath realm, for sure, if you haven't picked that up. And then lyrically, I told him just go nuts with the harder imagery, make it spacey and out there and creepy. I think he really did a nice job with the lyrics on that one as well. Capturing the themes, you know.
Oh, he really did. I mean, here, folks, here's the chorus, just to give an example. Faceless children, voices screaming in the back of your mind, rabid creatures, tinted preacher, just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Again, powerful stuff. Open to interpretations as well, which is great.
Big time.
Yeah, that's what I like. As you were saying earlier, having gone like with the Jared with the lyrics, it's not gone in like to be, I guess, overly preachy. It's still open to interpretation, which could fit a manner of areas, which is great stuff too. So I know we talked about Order of the Tree earlier, but that's a good way to close out the album. So what I will say about that one is, when you were arranging the tracks, and I know we got like kind of some proggy vibes in the later part of the album, did you want that strong finish to give people a song that they're going to remember, so it encourages them to visit the album again, you know, so it's not just filler, as sometimes some bands, I feel, when they get to the latter part, they can add on a filler track, which I think, man, you should have just left that one off.
Yeah, totally. I honestly just, no other song was meant to be the closer of that album than Order of the Tree. That was the ender. Like, as soon as we finished recording that song, I was like, well, that's the last song on the album. I knew immediately. Even with the demo, I had a feeling, but as soon as we got in the studio with it, it was very obvious I was giving the last track of the record. Just from the acoustic intro, going from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Clean, delicate, eerie, but delicate intro, and an in-your-face, Sabbath-y kind of dissonance with the riff and drums. I love that song. I'm so proud of it.
Yeah, it's a really nice way to close out for sure. So what were some of the were there any fun moments when you were in the studio making the album?
Oh, there's a ton, man. We had so much
fun. Sure, man.
To Kevin and Trezian over at Backroom Studios. Instant friendship working on this. You know, I think we put a total of like 13 days in the studio, 13 days of studio days, working throughout the record. And so many funny moments of just Jarrett being a goofball in the vocal booth. You know, a lot of stuff we had to cut out in between, verses and whatnot. We just had a blast, man. I'm trying to think of some good moments. The dumb inside jokes that come about. Going to grab lunch. I know that sounds stupid, but like
no.
Fun moments. The one that comes to mind was, I think it was our last stretch of vocal days. The studio is about an hour and a half from where we're at down here in New Jersey. So we spent the night up there We got a hotel with a pool, and Jared and I were just like, having some beers at the pool after a long day of recording. That was just the goofy, fun stuff that, makes the process that much more exciting. But it was such a blast recording this record.
Yeah, and I think you need that. You need those fun moments because it can get very stressful at times, and then frustrating because it's it's a lot of work and long periods as well. So you need those random interjections for sure.
Yeah.
Always, people tell me some very interesting stories when they've been making albums. It's never the same, which is always fun to hear about. Just wondered as well, I know you said you've got enough material for the next album already. This is obviously the new album. It's not been out very long. So realistically, are you thinking maybe some point in, I guess, the mid stage of next year for the next album, or maybe wait till the latter part?
Yeah, we don't have an exact timeline in mind yet. We're going to be talking about that in the next few weeks. The timeline, the loose timeline I'm visioning is a single and maybe even a cover release.
Interesting.
Next like 5 to 6 months. Maybe do like a 1-2 punch with a new original and then a cover, and then that'll give us some time to finish up the next record. Which hopefully we can have another album out within a year or so. But that's our loose idea. We definitely got to play some shows. We haven't played one show yet as a band.
Right.
I know there's only 3 of us on the record, but we have 2 other guys that are going to come in for the live band. And I just can't wait to play these songs live. So we're hoping to do some stuff with that within the new year. And that's kind of a loose game plan right now.
Yeah, take the Merc out on the road as well. That'll certainly help for sure, and see how people respond live as well, which I think will certainly be exciting, and that's good stuff. Do you have any videos planned to come and support some of the tracks on the album?
Yeah, that's another goal of ours. We're going to try to get done within the next couple months is do some live performance videos. As far as your classic music video, I'm just going to stick with the lyric videos for now. They seem to be doing pretty well for us. We have 2 of those out. But I want to do like a really cool live performance video down in our studio, and have some fun with that. And, it's 2023, almost 2024.
Yeah.
About content right now and trying to come up with some more fun content to keep our presence known online and just keep the thing.
Yeah, definitely keep getting the word out about the band.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious as well, Chris. I know it's Jared who, does the lyrics and majority for the band, but I wondered for the next release, are you going to have more input on the lyrical side, and are you going to continue the cosmic space vibe as well?
Absolutely, for sure.
Awesome.
I even hope I'm probably going to have some more vocal input as well.
Nice.
That was me in the bridge of Reflection, and then I did some backup vocals on Leviathan. So I'm going to try to have some more vocal input. I think our voices mesh well together. So I'm going to try to do that for the next one. The goal for the next record, not the goal, but based off the demos I've been writing, I think it's going to be a little bit heavier. And maybe even a little bit more spacier, a little bit more out there. But I think it's going to be a nice bridge from the current release for sure.
So heavy stoner space rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, nice.
Horror metal.
yeah. Oh man, no, I'm up for that all day, man. Especially being a colossal nerd, that's absolutely dope. No pun intended. You'll be thinking, are you sure you don't smoke, man? You talk about it a lot. Yeah, it's a bit visually, man. I guess I do it with my mind.
Oh yeah,
if that counts. Yeah. So you're obviously a passionate music fan. You love playing and making music. So another loaded question for you. What is the most rewarding thing about making music? And then the opposite is, what is the most frustrating?
The most rewarding probably is people connecting with the music and, reaching out directly and wanting to have a conversation about the album. Like this experience right now is awesome. Talking about the music with someone that appreciates what we did. At the end of the day, if I'm being completely honest, I wrote this record for me. This is if you listen to like all my Spotify songs mashed up into one, I think this album happens. You know what I mean? So this was the album I wanted to hear in my head, and it's been really cool having people connect with it and support the band. I've been having a blast. I'm the one that personally packages all the merch and ships it out.
Oh man, nice.
It's been really fun doing that down here.
Yeah.
And, seeing some of the locations that it's going to. From Sweden to the UK to I sent one to Texas this week, California. It's awesome. It's really, really cool.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what's fascinating? There's still something special, when a band sends you an album or some merchandise and it's from a really far part of the world. And I remember a few years ago, some friends of mine sent me a copy of one of their albums from Australia. And when it arrived and you're thinking, man, this has come from Australia, and you see all the postage on there, it's got all the merch. There's still something special about it. I'm like, yeah, man. I don't know. I just think there's just a magical quality about that for me as well. And again, for you, sending out that merch, as you were saying, that's a special feeling, sending out the music. Totally with you on talking about all this stuff. Look, I have my favorite genres. I've been mentioning on the last few shows, I'm trying to kind of keep a metal, punk, hardcore kind of base. Yes, there's a subgenres. I had the noble goal at first, Chris, of saying, right, let's open the show to all genres, regardless, even genres I don't like, doesn't matter. But the spam I was getting from that of things that were so far off what the show is about, and I knew I'm like, this isn't going to go. I thought, I'm going to talk to some coochie cutter. I thought this isn't going to get a good response. I'm like, well, not even the local dog is going to be into this stuff. So
yeah.
I had the noble intentions, but now I'm trying to kind of keep things back to the roots, kind of the core base. So it's got that kind of metal punk basis, but you're right. You can't be just chatting about music, even movies, with like-minded people sharing that passion for it. It's absolutely fantastic. I love hearing people such as yourselves talk about the music, their ideas, the inspirations, how they construct everything. It's absolutely fascinating, and hope others out there also appreciate it. So with that said, you as a guitarist, where do you, I'm guessing you mentioned Priest, Sabbath. Those are some inspirations for sure. A lot of those classic bands. Are there any other areas within music, even doesn't have to be metal, that have an effect on the style you play?
Yeah, for sure. I started off as a big blues guy. I would still love to put out like a bluesy. I used to be really into like the psychedelic rock and roll and then blues influence. I still would love to put out a record in that realm as like a solo album. I have a bunch of songs written for that stuff. It's just been shelved for so long. I'm a huge fan of like Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's probably my biggest inspiration as a guitar player. Hendrix, obviously. I love like Pink Floyd. One of my all-time favorite bands, though, probably my favorite band ever, is the Black Crowes.
Really? Wow.
Pretty random. But their depth within each album, every album has its own identity, and there's so much to grab from in their catalog of music. I just absolutely love that about them. I love every record so much, as different as they each, as they are from album to album. But that bluesy rock and roll metal kind of stuff. I'm also like a huge Lamb of God fan. The American modern metal. And then bands like Tame Impala. I'm a huge. You brought up Australia earlier. Huge Tame Impala fan. I listen to all kinds of stuff, man. It's all over the map.
Yeah, I was about to follow up there. With it seems to be that you like music from a very wide spectrum. You were talking earlier that each song on Eco Planet has its own identity. So is that? And I'm guessing that's something you want to do with each album as well. So it's got its own core soul sound. You talked about the next one being heavier. So do you always appreciate that in music, though, that it's evolving, you can have a different layer?
Absolutely. you know, and some bands do it better than others, but as long as a band's trying something different, you have to respect that. You know, you can't crank out the same album over and over again. Although that does work for some bands.
Depends on the genre, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But for this kind of music, I don't think we could do the same album again.
Yeah.
It would be too obvious.
Yeah.
But and it's just the natural progression too. I feel like I kind of figured out what's worked for me as a songwriter with this first album, and I know what I want to grow on and you know develop and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah, it stops it becoming boring. I mean, you said that you know that you made this music for you, and there's nothing wrong with that because at first it has to be for you guys in a band. You've got to enjoy what you're playing, and then you put that passion and love out there, and then people will appreciate that. I'm like, man, these guys really dig what they're doing. I can get into this rather than being like a daytime session guitarist on a morning TV show where in the background, not really into it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I honestly really learned a lot about that. Being my full-time gig right now is in a cover band.
Yeah.
We play weddings, casinos, we travel over the place doing that. And we play a lot of songs that none of us listen to. That
yeah.
We have to play what, you know, the bar wants us to play or the wedding wants us to play. And one of our techs called us out. Like, he's like, play this song, you guys are having a blast. But then when you play this song, it's very obvious you're not into it. People can tell when you're faking it, you know?
They really can. That's why I'm trying, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to get the show. I'm taking the show back to that kind of metal punk base. And I'm not saying there won't ever be other genres. If I feel it can benefit the audience and the channel, if there's something interesting there, they've got a good concept, they want to come on there. But sometimes if it's something that is so far away from the core essence that you like, and if it hasn't got, say, an appealing quality, it can be really difficult even chatting about it because you'll go through the questions and they can, well, I do everything organically anyway. It's the questions just pop in my head. That's the way I do it. Like we're literally hanging out.
Yeah.
But it like you were saying, it can be obvious if I'm not into that music because they could drop a lot of references to other pop bands, and I'm not really into pop music at all. And I'll be like, oh yeah. I'll be like, well, sorry, I don't really know that those little bit. You know, there's some nope, don't listen to that, don't listen to that. They'll be like, damn, this guy likes nothing we like whatsoever. And then because you've got all the fan base raging.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I feel what you're saying, but it's I think you made a good point as well, Chris, with if you just kept recycling the same album. So you just recycled, you know, the debut full length over and over. It's going to get pretty obvious. Not only is it, as you said, it's going to be then apparent to the listener, it's going to get boring to play. And it's nice if you think, right, I can make this riff heavier, or I've got even a mellow kind of feel in mind where it's really got this space trippy feel, and it's going to have kind of like a psychedelic melodic kind of feel to it. I feel using that cosmic basis, that really gives you freedom to go towards any spectrum, heavier, lighter sound. I've just destroyed my mic again. That was good. So yeah, it really gives you the freedom of expression.
Absolutely. Yeah. And all those elements you just mentioned are definitely going to be on the next album.
Yeah, I'm real.
Yeah.
I'm stoked already to hear about that, man, because I feel this is a very enjoyable, accessible album for the range it's got already. So to hear a heavier kind of, if you like, a heavier version going forward,
yeah,
has me stoked, man.
Yeah.
So who would be, you know, in the scene at the moment where you are, got a feeling you might mention some of the bands I've actually reached out to for the show, because I've seen their vinyls as well on Agonauta. But so who would be some of the other stoner bands or even blues bands that you would recommend to people? You know, in your scene.
Now, at the moment, I've been really listening to a bunch of Howling Giant. Their last record came out the same day as ours.
Nice.
Killer stuff. I've been following those guys for a while. They're just so good. Power trio. I've been really into Astrosaur as well, instrumental kind of stoner metal-ish, kind of spacey, just ripping instrumentals, man. They're so good. I've been really doing a deep dive into them. And then one of the bigger bands, I'm back on an Uncle Acid kick. I finally got around to listening to their last live record. I've been cranking that thing. I'm a huge fan. Seen them a bunch of times. That's been like my big 3 of the week that I've been listening to a bunch.
Yeah. Do you?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. Go on, man.
I was gonna say, as far as like the blues stuff goes, huge Marcus King fan. I've been listening to him a ton as well. Got to see him a few times. So damn good.
Yeah. I like. Do you like Brother Deej?
I haven't dove in enough on Brother Deej yet.
Yeah. Oh man, he's some awesome stuff.
Actually, we had to know that right now because he comes up a lot.
I'm going to shout this band out fire and send a shout out to them as well. They appeared on the show a little while ago. They're from Wisconsin. They're called 20 Watt Tombstone. Stoner band, but man, very blues influence. Got a very raw feel. They are superb, man. If you guys ever hooked up to do some shows together, I'm sure it would be a blast. People would love it. Definitely recommend them.
Check them out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd like to see more crossover at some of these shows, where you've got blues bands playing with the stoner as well, because there's that familiar element. And it was interesting you mentioned Lamb of God. We were chatting about them just on the last episode. Now there's a band, if you take, obviously very well known and popular, come out the hardcore scene, early material, a lot heavier, and then Randy, the clean vocal approach now, still good music as well. So I thought that was an interesting example you gave on a band that have certainly been evolving and changed the sound, but it's still got that core essence. I feel, sometimes if a band, an artist moves too far away where it becomes unrecognizable, in that case, it can be like, well, yeah, this really isn't the same band because I don't hear anything familiar there.
No, absolutely.
It's a tough one because I'm not saying people shouldn't have the freedom to evolve, to try something different. Just sometimes it can go so far where it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, outside of music, what do you like to do to relax? What would be some of your favorite movies?
I love comedies. I watch a bit of everything, trying to think of some good movies.
That's a tough one. Good movies at the moment.
If I had to pick like a big 3 of like any of my favorite movies, definitely throwing The Warriors in there. I know comedies, but a huge fan of The Warriors. I used to watch the movie all the time growing up. Soundtrack is so killer. What's another good one? Man, I gotta put
you on the spot.
Yeah, man, I gotta get back on a good movie kick. Yeah. Dude, I just rewatched like all the Chris Farley stuff recently as far as comedies go.
Oh, it's hilarious, man.
So good. Loved all the Star Wars stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell, the cosmic influence.
Yeah, the sci-fi, yeah, for sure.
The Will Ferrell stuff's always great, Step Brothers. Superbad's got to be up there. Our band was traveling around in my minivan for the longest time, and we have a DVD player in there, and Superbad was the only movie that lived in that minivan for the longest time. So on those long drives, Superbad was always being watched. I love all that stuff. Big fan of sports as well.
Same.
I live in the Philadelphia area. I'm about 15 minutes from Philadelphia. So huge Philly sports fan. Eagles, Flyers, Philly, Sixers. I love all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the 76ers were on TV the other night. They were as well. But the show pretty much the same. It always goes into off-topic nerding as well. Usually movies, horror, fantasy, sci-fi, and sports. With whatever, man. Just go with it.
Absolutely.
And some stoner comedies, man, are absolutely hilarious. Did you ever see that Will Ferrell one where it was about the basketball league that predated the
Oh,
NBA, the American Basketball
bro,
League.
dude, one of my
Yeah.
favorites,
Oh,
man.
dude, the part with the scene, spoilers alert, folks, where the bear.
Dude, so ridiculous. Such a great movie. Yeah, that's definitely top 3 favorite Will Ferrell movies for sure.
Absolutely love that one. I just saw, folks, for those out there, the Mad Max Furiosa trailer has dropped. I'm a little on the fence at the moment. I don't know what to think about it. I was a little, I obviously would have preferred another Mad Max. Furiosa was a good character in Fury Road, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Well, we'll see. I'll watch it again, and then when the movie comes out, see if my opinion changes. But at the moment, I'm just a little bit, I don't know. And it's strange because, I love Mad Max. But I didn't find myself immediately grabbed by it, which was unusual for me. So, coming back to your music, when we get towards the end of a show, I always like to give guests the opportunity to shout out anything they would like, not just about the band. So obviously, promote the band where people can get the album. But if there's anything else that you would like to shout out as well, Chris, the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously the record's out now. Today is Bandcamp Friday, which means the artist gets 100% of the profit from the sales, which is all going towards our next record. So we appreciate every support. We have the vinyl, we have t-shirts, baseball tees, hats, all up there right now. And if you use the code EGO10, you can get 10% off your purchase going through the weekend. And we're really grateful for everyone's support so far, the streams, everything, everyone that's been liking and following our pages, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. It doesn't go unseen. And, like I said before, we couldn't be more grateful for the response we're getting so far. And we can't wait to just keep pushing this thing out there.
Yeah, definitely, man. Absolutely killer music. Just before I let you go, could you show up the vinyl again for us, just so folks can see it? Because they definitely want to order this, folks. Let's have a look at it again. Isn't that fantastic? Absolutely great. It's got that whole cosmic feel. There you go, folks, on the back as well. Man, that even looks like one of those sci-fi movies, the way they've done the lettering.
Yeah, that was we wanted it to look like an old 80s horror movie VHS tape when you flip it around.
You know what, man? When you mentioned Star Wars there, the way you've got the tracks on the back cover, it's like those, in the Star Wars movie open with the rolling credits. It's almost got that feeling, man.
All that inspiration's in there. And the last thing I will mention as well, the vinyl comes with 2 bonus tracks, which were the first 2 singles we released, Then and Dead Man's Float. So we got 10 tracks on the actual copy of the record.
Yeah, and also as Chris mentioned earlier, you've got the A and B side as well with the 2 different versions. So there is a really unique listening experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both sides of the record do have their own kind of vibe and identity.
Just before I wrap it up, I'm going to ask you this quickly. Then, do you feel vinyl just gives people a different experience when listening to music?
Absolutely, man. I think it's like it's almost like a handshake with the band. You know what I mean? There's like that direct connection. I feel like you really go out of your way to sit down and immerse yourself in the music when you're listening to a record. You have the physical, tangible item in your hand. You can immerse yourself in the artwork, the credits. It's just more of an experience when you listen to a record versus just throwing on Spotify and shuffling up your favorite artists. Not there's nothing wrong with that, but it's definitely more of an experience when you listen to a record. Yeah,
it builds that relationship, doesn't it, and stops it being so quickly disposable. For sure. Dude, I want to thank you for coming on, man. It's been a fantastic conversation.
Absolutely, dude. Let's do it again soon, man.
Oh, definitely.
Support and you having me on here today.
Yeah, definitely. And, we get the other guys on as well from the band. And we can do a deep dive and nerdathon in all areas as well. And be really contradictory, like, hey, yeah, 2 of us aren't stoners, but people thinking, yeah, you are. I'm like, no, we're not, honestly, but like, you certainly seem like you are.
Yeah, for sure, man. We'll definitely make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Folks, go and support Ego Planet, like them up on Facebook, follow them on Instagram. All the links will be in the description. I want to thank Chris again. Thank you for joining me. It's been fantastic. And I shall see you all in the next episode of Fed Up, which is tomorrow with Law 13. Don't forget to support, subscribe, follow the channel. I'm usually on here every day, verbally drowning somebody in my endless tirades. So folks, take care. Have a good night. We'll see you on the next episode, and peace out for now.
Thank y'all.